I woke up this morning, afraid to get out of bed. Had to do this TED thing. Couldn't keep that worry out of my head. Fear was taking over. Then I remembered what Dr. Jacobus said. He said, Ermer, you got this. You're going to dominate that TED. And here I am. And you are too. Got something to say that I hope resonates with you. I told myself that if I got through that this evening, I'd be doing okay. I chose to open up with a blues riff for two reasons. One, as an English teacher in the building, I couldn't let Pam Uppus go into the department on Monday and say she was the only musical act. And then two, tonight's theme is the spirit of inquiry. And I'm 35 years old, and I picked this thing up 3 weeks ago from Amazon Prime, and I've been playing it for my students in class, been playing it for my 18-month nephew. He seems to enjoy it. And my buddies at barbecues, and people seem to smile when I bring it out. So never stop being curious and sharing your curiosity with people. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about fear, because I am terrified right now. And to help me through this tonight, I couldn't help but use a few vocabulary words. A parable is a simple story used to illustrate a moral lesson. An adage is a proverb or short statement expressing a general truth. And the adage that I'd like you to take away from the evening is not to let fear stop you or prevent you from at least trying to succeed. Now for my evening's parable. In September of 2014, I set the goal for myself to climb Castleton Tower outside of Moab, Utah. It's this iconic image of the West. In fact, it's such an icon of the West that the popular TV series Westworld chose to use this in its opening scene for episode 1, season 1, when one of the father characters said to his daughter character on her way up to paint, "You going down to set down some of that natural splendor?" And so I wanted to get on top and get myself a piece of that natural splendor. And the director chose at that moment to cut this scene. Except at the time, I didn't know anything about rock climbing. Never been rock climbing. And so I chalked it up as a bucket list item, something I'd do sometime in my life. And I found that time 2 years ago while skydiving. As an instructor, I was teaching my friend Joel how to fall through the sky. Here we are on a wingsuit rodeo wearing one of those squirrel suits, him hanging on to me like a magic carpet ride. And it was in this spirit of adventure and sharing fun that he told me he was coming from an expert rock climbing background. And so, ding, 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 I shared with him my life goal. And he said, yeah, man, let's do it. I can get you there. He told me he would need to show me some basic rope work. He'd like to get me on some natural rock to check my instincts. But he assured me that this is a very realistic goal of mine that we could accomplish in the very near future. And so that's exactly what he did. He got me on some natural rock. He showed me how to work around some rope. And he went out of his way as a safe and competent rock climber to show me the anchors he was setting so that I felt safe following him in this adventurous sport. And he prepared me for my goal to ascend Castleton. And our attempt and my chance at ascending Castleton finally came along when he told me about his buddy, Dan Dolan, who had quit his job this past fall as a professional engineer to pursue a life of full-time climbing. The first thing he did when he packed up his Subaru was drive out to Yosemite. He spent 4 nights and 5 days climbing El Capitan. So Joel assured me that we had found our lead climb. And it was this past November that we found ourselves approaching Castleton Tower. And again, Joel being the safe and competent climber he is, he made a plan for us that Dan would be our lead climb to set anchor, I would follow Dan, and then Joel would follow behind me to give me any climbing tips or support should I need it along the route. A crap sandwich. And so it was, before we were eating this sandwich, that we found ourselves at the North Chimney Route in the shadow of the tower on one cold November morning in the desert. And we geared up, we put on our harnesses, prepared our ropes, taped our hands to brace ourselves against the cold rock, and Dan shot up the first pitch of 120 feet in 10 minutes. Set our anchors, put me on belay, which means to say he would catch me should I fall. And I put on my 30-pound pack, which I'll get to in a second, and I started my ascent of Castleton. But I didn't shoot up the thing like Dan had. Instead, I found myself just 30 feet up, not knowing where any feasible hold would be for me next. I tried for 20 minutes at this sticking point. My hands were numb and bloody. I was in the shadow of this cold tower. I was exhausted. My forearms were pulsing and swollen, and I was defeated. So I called up to Dan, "Hey, can I take a break?" "Sure, buddy." So I'm hanging from my harness. And it was in this state of mind that I sheepishly looked down to my climbing advisor and buddy, Joel, and said, "I don't know what to do. I don't see any holds. I don't think I can do it." To which he replied and looked up, "Yeah, man, I don't know either." I was terrified. I was most terrified that a life goal I had set for myself was slipping away from me. My buddy and climbing advisor had lost confidence in my ability. I had lost confidence in my own ability. And I couldn't see a clear pathway to my success. I was exhausted. Worst of all, I wasn't even 10% of the way up this thing. But I could see a little way past my sticking point, and I thought it seemed a little easier. I could also see in my mind all the hard work Joel and I had put in to prepare me for this moment. And beyond that, I could feel how much I wanted to get on top of that thing. And so I put my hands back on the cold rock, and I tried again. I put my hands in different crevices, tried my feet in different crevices, I wedged my arm differently. Now, I didn't shoot up the thing like Dan had, but I did make slow progress, and I made it up the thing. And I'd like to thank Joel and Dan for helping me get there, and I do encourage you to always help the people in your lives that help you get there. Now for those 30 pounds. I set for myself Castleton Tower as a goal for myself the day I bought my first base rig. And BASE is an acronym, actually, which stands for Building, Antenna, Span, and Earth. Those are the 4 most frequently jumped fixed objects base jumpers choose to leap from. And that's just what I did a short time after mentally taking down a little bit of that natural splendor. I'd like to share with you one more vocabulary word to help drive home my point tonight. Catharsis is the process of releasing and thereby providing relief from strong emotions such as fear and doubt. I'd like to show you now a video where you can hear that.
Jesus.
That echoing woo was me releasing all of that doubt and fear I had just experienced along that route. It was me expressing, thanks Joel, thanks Dan for helping me do it. It was me expressing myself accomplishing a life goal. When you find yourself confronting sticking points along your way to success, remember all the hard work and preparation that you put in to get you in that moment. because you're going to put in hard work and preparation. Fall back on how much passion you have for achieving that goal, because you should develop a passion for your goals. When I was a student at Woodbury High School, principal at the time, Jeff Ireland, told us all at a pep fest one time, you're always going to feel these butterflies in your stomach at moments like these. The trick becomes training them to fly in formation like geese. And so I'd like to leave you with 4 takeaways this evening. 1, set hard goals for yourselves. 2, never stop trying, even when others think you should. 3, life is best enjoyed with a little bit of challenge in it. And 4, get yourselves flying in formation. Thanks a lot.